Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have Csongor Daniel here. He is an energy healer, completely different or maybe similar to Reiki. I don't know, but I'm excited to learn. But guys, he just told me he hasn't been sick since 1989. And I'm getting over a cold right now. I'm kind of mad that I got it in the first place. I kind of know what happened, but welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so where are you right now? Where are you located? Oh, you're
I'm
in
in,
Florida.
yes, I'm in Florida.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we had to reschedule this because Hurricane Ian came through and kind of messed up stuff down there for a while. But is everything okay now? Are they rebuilding,
My
cleaning up?
area is fine. We're okay. We're missing fences in the area and some roofs are damaged. A little bit further away, there were major floods. Fort Myers is about an hour away from me. They still haven't recovered all the islands. They can't even get back on some of them.
Wow.
So it's far from recovery. We felt like we were back exactly a week later when our power came back. We got power and water, and then, it's civilization again, and things are forgotten pretty fast.
That's good. So how long have you been in Florida?
Oh, I came here in at the end of 1991.
Oh, a long
I
time.
I was born and raised in Yugoslavia, and I was here on vacation when the war started there in 1991. And piece by piece, everybody was messaging me, hey, you should stay a little bit longer. And so I'm still here.
So you must really like it there because as an energy healer, it's really important for us to live somewhere where we feel comfortable and welcomed.
Absolutely. I,
Yeah.
I do have many places around the world like that. I feel it welcoming, but you can't really beat the weather. We're
Yeah.
still in t-shirts. You can still go to the beach. Um, the weather is beautiful. We're missing some mountains here and stuff, but you can't have everything all the time, right?
Yeah. And you have the ocean, which is
Yes,
a big
yes.
deal for me. I'm outside Charleston, so I'm like close to the ocean. I
Hmm.
could go there at the last minute, spend the day, come
Oh,
back, no
beautiful.
big deal, right?
Very nice. And you're
Yeah.
closer to the mountains than I am. We travel a
Well,
lot yearly to North Carolina and Blue Ridge Mountains. Um, I do a lot of motorcycle riding, so that's something that balances my healing and that part of my being.
yeah.
So we do travel a lot.
So tell the audience, I know you said you're from Yugoslavia, so how did you get into energy medicine?
Um, I felt something as a kid, something in my something weird about me, but I could never really describe it. I didn't know what it was. And I was about halfway through college. I studied engineering. I finished it, but never worked a day in it. Um, a friend of my dad's came over, stopped by at our house, and he was working for a publishing house. And so he was a very well-read person. So he came up and he started telling us, actually telling my dad, I was just overhearing it, about this energy in the body and around the body. And he was explaining it to my dad, who was a chemical engineer. And he kind of, I don't know, he was very much into physics and explanation of everything. And so I joined the conversation and I tried to feel what he was telling us to feel. I'm like, oh, well, I felt this my whole life. I just didn't know what it was. And that night, he worked on us somewhat, and I couldn't sleep the whole night. I woke up with a headache, and it was a weird initiation. I mean, he knew about the energy, he just didn't know what he was doing. So it was another day or two as I was messing with the energy when my best buddy came over and he says, "Hey, what are you doing?" So "Hey, there's this energy this guy is talking about." we should try it. He said, you can stop pain and all kinds of stuff with it. So I said, great. He was a marathon runner and his ankle was hurting. Like, let's try it. So I did something around his ankle and he was telling me what he was feeling and I felt something weird. And next thing you know, the pain was gone. And he hasn't had pain ever since then. This was 30-some years ago, at least not in that ankle. But it was definitely a push for me to study more. Now at that time, this is late 80s in the former Yugoslavia. There was no literature about energy healing. I mean, nobody was really talking about it. So I read some on Far Eastern philosophies. Um, we went a lot to Hungary and always bought a truckload of books. They were very, very cheap there at the time. This was before internet, and you
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
pick up a book and read. I'm from a Hungarian family, so speak Hungarian as well, and it was easy to catch up, but still nothing about the energy. Then one day, just again, this was just through a little bit of practicing and stuff, I was able to stop some pain, some headaches and such. And one day my mom's back was hurting. And so I figured I'll try the same thing. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I felt the energy. I figured, well, if I pull out, literally pulling out the pain, pulling out the excess energy, that was my thinking. And as I was standing behind my mom and pulling this energy out, all of a sudden my mom started moving back. And I push my hand forward, my mom goes forward. I pull my hand back a little bit farther away, my mom is leaning back. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She says, nothing. What are you doing? I said, I don't know. What are you doing? Back and forth. I had no clue, but we realized that I could move her without touching her. So crazy me went out, this was college years. We were out every night in the pubs with my buddies. And I happened to tell them what happened. And they're like, yeah, right. That's impossible. A long story short, I tried it on one of them and I was able to move him. Then another one, then another one. By the end of the night, the entire pub was in it or on it. We were making bets in beer, who's going to move, who's not. That it's sad to say, but that was the beginning of my great healing career. And so just one thing led to another, and I knew that there was something here that I really need to learn because this is something special. And about 2 weeks later, we see this guy on TV bending people and moving people. He was a healer in Croatia. His name was Zdenko Domancic. Like, that's the guy. I need to find this guy. I mean, he's doing what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. So it took a while to track him down. Again, this was way before Google. And I found him on an island in the Adriatic. I found out where he was. In the report, obviously, they were showing these the aerial photos of people standing in line in these narrow streets, just waiting to see him. So I was able to track down a hotel on the island, and I called them up like, hey, can you tell me about this guy? Where can I find him? Sorry, he just left. We don't know when he's back. And that was it. Another few weeks went by, and my marathon running buddy ran over with the newspaper. Get it? There was an article about a professor in Belgrade who was measuring the energy fields of the body, and supposedly he could tell you if you were born to do this or give you some direction.
Mhm.
So I got in touch with him, and literally the next weekend, I sat on a bus, went to Belgrade. I was the last one to get in. I was so happy. We went through 2 days of tests, everything that you can measure in your body, or in a radio you can measure in your body. You have amps, ohms, volts. So you have electricity in your body that gives off different signals correlated to your different organs, and all together you could put together a picture of your abilities. So at the end of the day, he pulled me over like, hey, look, your energy's off the chart. You really need to switch professions. I mean, you're born to do this. Like, great, but sign me up. Nobody's teaching this, I mean,
Mhm.
last time I checked in college, nobody had any clue about this. So don't worry, I have a guy for you. And so the same day we sat in the car and we arrived in Pančevo. It was outside of Belgrade, a smaller city. We went to a hotel where he introduced me to Mr. Domancic, the guy I was looking for. Goosebumps every time. And so he taught me after that, and I was able to work with him for a short time. Eventually got certified. They were the first ones to give certification in bioenergy healing at the time. And I started working first, literally like 2 days after I finished college, I started doing the healing work. First month, I had about 30 patients. 2 months later, I had 30 a day. So it was all word of mouth, former Yugoslavia. It was very easy to get there because the results were there and everybody can see it. You stop a headache, the next day the entire street knows about it. People
Yeah.
still talk. So
Mhm.
that was the beginning. And then about a few months later, I came to the States for a vacation. And while I was here, the war started, and here I am.
So
It
you never
was
went back.
No, I just go to visit now. I
Yeah.
still have my mom there and family and a lot of friends. I go every year. But yes, I was basically, stuck here. But
Yeah.
I have, I'm Floridian now. I have wonderful kids here. I changed.
So you learned it and you just did it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, many years passed by. I published 3 books on the subject, working on a fourth one that's a separate thing. But I learned over the years, first of all, that you need to learn every day something new. The learning never
Yeah.
stops. It
Hmm.
was great, finish college, woohoo, and you think you're done, but you're not. And so slowly I changed a little bit in the Domancic method, added some of my things. So and also I realized throughout the years doing seminars. I also taught Tai Chi for many years and Qigong. And you have to talk about the energy when you do those. And I
Right.
realized that, whoa, I can teach anybody to do this. I may have a gift or not, but anybody can do this. It's just like riding the bicycle. Some
Hmm.
people will get better at it and faster, but we can all learn to ride a bicycle. Technically, anybody can be a pilot, right? 90% of people, but not everybody's a pilot.
Right.
However, those people who are interested in doing it, I developed a system where it's very easy to learn. Literally in a day, you can become a healer. It takes, of course, years of experience to
Hmm.
really know most because you'll never know everything. Um,
But that's the fun part, don't you think?
yes, yes. If I knew
Because
everything now, it'd be boring, right?
right, right, right. So
Yeah.
in energy medicine, like that's what I love about energy healing is there's so always something new that comes up or
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know and it makes it exciting and fun. So it never gets boring. You never know everything. You never, there's always some new issue or new
Yes.
way to do things that you can incorporate.
And also, throughout years, again, I came from a socialist country. The Communist Party was in rule, so really you were never talking about the other side, or the religion was never involved. Nothing esoteric was involved. Everything had to be by the rules, by the physics. And so to slowly get to a point where doing long distance healing that I've been doing since the beginning. Now about 80% of my business is long distance healing. I have clients all over the world that I work on from literally my chair. I go into deep meditation and I can see the energy. I can change the pattern to make people feel better. And in 30 years, you think, oh, I learned it then, it's great. No, every time something new comes in, you know, a global pandemic like COVID, it wasn't just, you know, the virus. It changed the entire energy, and each individual, you could feel the global stress.
Yeah.
It's and it's funny because back in 2006, I received a phone call from a lady in Denmark. She organized my previous seminar there. I've been teaching seminars around the world, and she said, "Hey, these people were trying to contact me, you know, about you and your teacher and something I didn't understand." So eventually, I got in touch with them. It was a documentary crew making a video, making a film, a documentary about my teacher. And they tried to connect with his previous students and see how they are doing. So I missed out on that opportunity, but I was able to reconnect with my teacher. I had no idea where he ended up, you know, during the war, whether he was alive or not, you know. And went to Slovenia to visit him there. So he's still practicing there, and learned some of the new methods. And it was almost like in the uh, um, like in a movie or in a book. You know, it's like he came to me in a dream, and hey, it's great to see you, but you should come in person. And I wake up like, what the heck? And I asked him about it, and he said, "Nah, you know, I have no idea what you're talking about." But in essence, going back to stress and the pandemic, he told me then that, you know, every disease, illness, problem, everything is caused by stress. And I stopped for a moment, and I was like, I didn't want to say anything against it, you know,
Yeah.
great respect, but yeah, but what about diet? What about this? What about that? And of course, with diet, you can also cause stress, just a different kind.
Hmm.
Um, and when the pandemic came, all of a sudden, I saw everybody having this. There's a specific vision in, you know, in your energy field, and when you're stressed, the energy tightens up and becomes a little bit darker around your head, neck, shoulders, that area. Just like what many people feel with stress, you know, you lift your shoulders and tighten them up. That happens energetically as well. And it's quite easy to fix, but you know, when you're not consciously thinking about it, it will overtake everything. Now, when you have stress for a short time, you know, just a car almost hits you, or an animal attacks you, you run for a short time, you have all this adrenaline, and then it calms down, right? But when you live under stress all the time, that keeps your energy always weak. You're always in this fetal protective position. So you're vulnerable to everything.
Hmm.
Even simple cold is easier to pick up when you're sad than when you're happy. So the your energy depends on many factors: what you eat, what you drink, how you sleep, where you live, environment, underground areas that can irradiate certain energies, cosmic rays. Everything affects you around, people around you especially, but the most is influenced by you. So when you think you're happy, you're happy. When you think you're sad, you're sad. And you can build on that either way, you know. So you can regulate your energy, but the only way to keep it always wide, your energy field goes roughly as wide as you can reach. So this is your protective shield, kind of like the spaceship Enterprise, you know, when the, hey, Scotty, turn on the shield, you know. So
Hmm.
this is it. And when it gets weaker, that's when you get vulnerable. Whenever you're stressed, your body gets weak, or your energy gets weak. Whenever you're happy, you know, those people who walk into a room and they're just light up the room, it's literally your energy is huge. You keep your energy huge, you keep your mind happy and positive, you will never have any issues. Um, Everything put together, mind, body, spirit, whatever you eat, drink, live, it all comes down to really the strongest influencer being the brain. So decide to be, happy, healthy, smile all the time. That also regulates a little bit of the energy, and you won't have any issues. But
So,
it's easier said, right?
yeah, so you must be clairvoyant, so you can see people's energy fields and you
Yes,
can see
I
colors.
trained my brain to do these, so that didn't just come like that.
Yeah.
Um, but again, this is another thing that anybody can do. We all have psychic abilities. You think of someone and the phone rings and that person is on the other line. Right? It
Yep.
happens all the time. Or you think of someone and you get a text message. How the hell is that possible? I mean, they're far away. But then you think about it, there's a cell phone. There's no wire. How are we connected? So
Hmm.
when you get into the physics, if that phone is possible, why not my brain? In essence, we're all connected on the entire planet. There are different theories about that, from quantum physics is the best explanation. But in essence, everything is energy, and your thoughts are energy. And your body is really mostly empty space, mostly energy holding together this emptiness than physical entity. Your tiniest particles in your body are like atoms. Right? I mean, they are atoms, just like everywhere else in the universe. The atomic structure is where the craziness starts, because what we see in the textbooks, you have the nucleus in the middle and electrons traveling around certain distances. But they can't put that in a book. It wouldn't fit. If you could magnify the nucleus to be the size of a pinhead, the closest electron to it would be a quarter mile away, and just empty space in between. And that little
Hmm.
electron would be the size of a bacteria if it were a matter. Now, this little energy ball travels around the nucleus so fast that if you could see by naked eye, you'd see just a giant ball the size of a stadium. Yet inside is 99.9999999% empty space. It's nothing. You take another one of those and another one and another one and another one, and all of a sudden you have this body. But you know, most of it, 99.9999999% is empty space. It's just energy. So when you start thinking that way and think that everything around you is energy, almost like a matrix, like it would be quite believable if you really think about it. But most of the things can be changed by even by simple thoughts. It depends how, every individual is so different that it's hard to predict the not really the outcome, more of the time that it takes to get to that outcome. Usually if somebody has even a worse migraine, it will take me 2 minutes to stop it. It's nothing to it. Now if you have some kind of tumors, cancer, what, I don't know your life, I don't know your thoughts, your background, but I will be able to stimulate the body to help heal itself. So technically, I don't really heal anybody. I move the energy, I give energy,
Yeah.
take it off. It's
Hmm.
more like energy engineering. And the system is ultra fast. It's to me, is the strongest, most powerful method on the planet at the moment.
So how do you learn how to do your kind of energy healing? Can you learn by reading your books? Do you offer classes or?
What a good question, as if I paid you.
I'm
um,
curious
yes,
myself for
I do
myself, so
have
I'm asking now.
I have three books on the subject. Um, One is a children's book. It was based on, well, not really loosely. It was tightly based on my daughter's early life. When she was 2 years old, I was working on her grandpa's knees. He had bad knees, and she came over, little 2-year-old, kind of mimicking my moves. She was doing one leg, I was doing the other
Hmm.
one, and it was all
Hmm.
funny until Grandpa went like, "Whoa, wait a second, I can feel it." And I really feel it. And the pain was gone. And it was like, oh my God. So this is really inside us. You know, there's not much to learn. It's more to teach the adults to unlearn whatever they learned. You know, you grew up by, hey, something hurts, take a pill. And that was it. My kids haven't seen that. So when they were little, we would grab the pain wherever it hurts and throw it away. And just that mental picture was enough for them to stop pain like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my latest book is called Bioenergy Healing, Simple Techniques for Reducing Pain and Restoring Health Through Energetic Healing. It explains everything from A to Z. Any individual can learn how to heal.
So you've been doing this for a while.
Yes.
Why don't you share some of your best healing stories? Because I'd
Sure.
love to hear those.
I just want to add that just recently, a few months ago, I started an online school. I have a filmmaker relative, a cousin in Budapest. Actually, he's part of my next story, so might as well talk about him.
Okay.
Very talented. He does post-production, but he also does photography and filmmaking. And so we got together. He was here before the COVID started. We were taking some photography. We were in Daytona. As I mentioned, I'm a biker. He's a biker. And COVID kind of put an end to it. So we got together and finished the project we started before. And it's a 7-video series from A to Z, just like in the book, but I explain everything live with special effects. So everything that I explain in the book, what you're going to feel and see, it's in front of you on video. So the special effects help that. And I teach everything there, literally self-healing, long distance healing. So everything about how to heal yourself and others. Now, as you can tell, this has been part of my entire life, right? So I have very few stories that are not, you know, in a way or in touch with energy healing or motorcycles. I mentioned that I've been teaching around Europe. Kind of every summer, I set up a seminar or two somewhere. I taught in Bucharest, Berlin, Budapest, Copenhagen. I was in Scotland. So all of these places, different, various sizes of seminars. This year, I taught in the Alps for a whole week in one of the most beautiful locations, and it was just incredible. So we have these kind of, I can't call it like a vacation teaching, but it's my vacation teaching.
Yeah.
So I'll go for a month in Europe, ride around, and then work for a week or a weekend or so. So one of these trips, this was 5 years ago. I was supposed to teach in Bucharest in Romania that summer, but I already made a deal with my cousin and his buddy that I will go with them to Romania beforehand for an enduro trip, a motorcycle trip in the mountains, you know, these dirt bikes. I had experience with those, but I live in Florida. You know, everything is flat like
Flat.
this.
Here too.
Yes. Now in Transylvania, in Romania, it's one of the most beautiful parts of the planet. Everything is green. Everything is tranquil. Everything is undisturbed. Still a lot of nature where, you know, there are no people, just bears. And I agreed, okay, I'll go with them. And we were going to make a documentary about it. So as it happens all the time, and it happened this year too, we didn't make it on time. So my flight was a day late. I got to Budapest. They already packed everything up, and let's go like the next morning. A 6 hours difference, so that means jet lag. I don't know how I kept my eyes open all the way to Romania. They were yapping, come on, wake up, we're almost there. You know, it's a 6-hour trip plus. So we get to Romania. where I've been before, but not to this part, not to this area. It was quite desolate with a small village, and then outside the village there was this really cool hotel in the woods. And the guys have been there before. They already set up the system. We're gonna go ride here. We got awesome rooms. That there was a huge, like a swimming pool sized jacuzzi in the building. There was a restaurant, but all out in the woods. At night, it's just some noises from the forest, and that was it. They even had a shed for our motorcycles, our dirt bikes. So first morning, we get out, breakfast, hop on the bikes. Of course, again, very unusual. You know, I've been traveling all this time, and now I get to get on the dirt bike, and I'm beat up already. So okay, let's go. Just follow us. Okay. First street to the left. End of the street goes into a creek. And so from the street, we're in a creek. I'm already halfway down, but I made it. After the creek, first thing up, a big uphill. I made it halfway. Bike just flew over my head, went down, picked it up, tried it a few more times, finally made it. Then we continued. And all morning was like that. I was struggling in everything. Plus it was a loaner bike, plus it just couldn't get used to it. And about noontime, we're like thirsty, tired. So my cousin goes, hey, there's a pub in this next village down here. Now we were really out, miles and miles where you don't see anything. So we get down to this village and pull over into the pub, which was really just an old building, maybe the size of this room, and a big tent outside, but literally in the middle of the village. There was a house next to it, which we found out it was the owner's house. There were chicken, ducks walking around, coming into the pub area. It was just the real Romanian village life. Beautiful place, tranquil, clean, but way out there. So we sat down, and Dunny, my cousin, ordered 3 beers. The owner was there. He took our order, and then slowly he started hobbling with his walking stick into the building to bring out 3 big beers with his walking stick. The older gentleman, probably around 70. He knew no other language, and our Romanian was down to like maybe 3 sentences between the 3 of us. But my cousin's buddy asked, hey, what's wrong with your leg? So came another 15 minutes of showing, and kind of like a quiz game. Turned out he was a soccer player. He had some kind of an injury. But long story. My friend Zoli goes, well, why don't you work on him? Let's see if you can fix his knee. He's already sitting there, might as well. Okay. So we were drinking beer and working on him. Now, by that time, my beer drinking is right now down to maybe, I don't know, a couple of months or so. You have a glass of wine. I mean, I'm not into drinking much. And so I work on his knee, and he's talking, we're talking, nobody understands anything, but his eyes opened up, and he was like, oh, what is that? So he was explaining what he kind of feels. And then I said, okay, I'm done. Now get up and try it out. And he's reaching for his walking stick. And my buddy takes it over. No, without the stick. So he stands up, one step, next step, like, wow, this is really good. And he started walking around and started dancing. Then next thing he yells something. Out comes his wife from the pub. She was huge, like the real village woman with one of those skirts that have 13 skirts in it. I don't know how it's called. And she's walking the same way, left to right, barely walking. And he explained to her, and then he's showing, like, look at me, and he's dancing around. Great. Okay, well, might as well work on you too. So while I was working on her, the old guy goes in, comes out with 3 more big beers. We're talking these half-liter big. I finish her. She stands up, like, wow, again, her face, and starts moving around, and they start dancing, the 2 of them. There was one more guy in the pub at 12 o'clock. He was already drunk, just looking at it. And I was like, guys, maybe we should go, because, pretty soon the whole village will be here. You know?
And
And,
you're never leaving.
and at that, the old guy comes over, and again, more beer. I said, no, I need some water. We had these backpacks, with camelbacks. Where can I put some water in this? Oh, no, not there. Come with me. So we go past the ducks, past the chicken, past a really angry dog on a chain. And we go behind where he opened the top of this old well. And he gets the bucket down, pulls it out. It's ice cold, crystal clear water. I pour it in a backpack. Thank you. He showed me the back. There was a creek running by. It was like a little paradise, just a beautiful place. Then he was like, no, come here. And for some reason, he took me in his house to show me around. And then we ended up in the cellar, where he had gallons and gallons of homemade brandy. You got to have one, for your health. Okay. So it's a little shot. Then another one for another reason. So by the time I got home, I was barely standing straight. Get to the table, and I see, like, I think it was 9 big beers in front of them. The lady brought another one, and then brought some chocolate, and I don't know, it was crazy. Eventually, we finally got up, like, let's go. By then, Zoli was so drunk, he took somebody's bicycle, and he was doing wheelies in the parking in the in the pub. But then we realized we had to go. So we ended up, like, I don't know, up in a creek, cooling down. At one point, it was August, it was hot, and the alcohol had to get out. But this went on for 3 days. We stopped by again. They were gonna cook us duck. It was a very welcoming community. So the interesting thing was, it was all behind. I mean, there was a lot more to it. But last year, this same gang went back to Romania, this time with electric dirt bikes, and they ended up in the same pub. And he says, we saw the same guy. He was still alive. He recognized us. And he says, where's that guy?
We need to give him some brandy and some duck.
Yes. It was a very interesting year, because after we went back to Budapest, I went on a different street motorcycle back to Romania again to teach in Budapest. I left a motorcycle in Budapest back in 2011. It was something, it was a bike that my cousin used here when he came to visit. And we figured, well, I'll go there and ride around Europe with my fiance, and then I'll sell you the bike. Deal. That's exactly what happened. But then we realized that he couldn't register it. It was made for the American market, even though it's a Yamaha. But I ended up buying it back. And so that's my transportation every year in Europe. Thankfully, in Florida, you don't need, technical exam every year. So you just get a sticker. I can put it on the bike. I don't
But
have
then
to
you have
take
to deal with the really bad drivers in Florida.
Well, in Florida, yes, but you know, that's why I go to Europe. It's a little bit easier to ride there. You know, the thing is that the riding has a different purpose for me. You know, it's to just get everything else, clear my mind, get everything else out. If I'm here meditating half a day, you know, I would just be a marshmallow.
Yeah.
So I need that opposite a little bit.
My Reiki teacher, she's up in Virginia, but she is a psychic medium and she gets her messages when she exercises.
Mm,
So when she used to run, but then she got injured, but when she would go for runs or she would be on the elliptical machine
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and she would play like dance club music and she still was getting like these messages while she was exercising that always impressed me.
I think a lot of people exercise just for that. They just don't know it. You know,
Yeah,
your mind is in a different setting when you do that.
yeah.
And that's also something that shows you the connection of mind body, how you can be down emotionally and go to the gym and you feel better, right? Or you feel
Yeah.
down physically and you watch a good comedy show and you feel better. So little things like that.
It depends on how mindful you are about your exercise. Like if I take a walk and I don't have any music and I focus on what I'm feeling in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you get that clarity.
Yes.
But I'm more like I need the quiet. Like I say, the answers are in between the questions and the sentences. That's when I get the, oh, I know what the answer is. It's in that.
Right. And then some people who are in sports, especially runners, you know, long distance runners, you get to occupy your mind somehow.
Yeah.
And so many times they touch into that alpha state of mind where they have these psychic episodes or other telecommunication with others. I had a guy. This was a long time ago when when I moved to Florida. I was staying with an uncle, and he was a real Hungarian, born in Budapest. He had also an amazing life. He was working for a circus. He was a sailor. He was in a Russian prison in Second World War. It just had an amazing life, and he's seen everything. Well, when I came to visit him, he already knew about my abilities, but he still couldn't figure out how I got his blood pressure down. He said, I know you got my blood pressure down, but I still don't believe in this thing. And that was his attitude. The first week I was in Florida, he was making something special, Hungarian dish, and he was missing one ingredient. So he gave me his car, like run over to Publix, you know, get this and this. On the way back, this was only maybe a 2 mile distance. On the way back, I passed his bicycle and he was packed up, lots of luggage around him, and a big letter H in the back for Hungary. Did I see this right? You know, I pull over, I let him pass. Yeah, there's the letter H. I'm like, well, maybe I should stop him. I mean, how often do you see letter H in Florida? On a bicycle, especially. So I go in front of him, I pull him over. Speak Hungarian? Yes. Hey, how you doing? And are you hungry? Yes. Follow me. And it took him to my uncle. I got there obviously a minute before. I go in, hey, put another plate. What? Here's another guy, you know, from Hungary. What the heck? Where is he? Like right there on the bicycle. It's like, this is crazy, dude, you know. Anyway, he came in and we had a good dinner, a good conversation. He told us about his trip. He was already on road for 2 years, 2.5. Went through all of Europe, India, Australia. He and his buddy went together and then landed in California, and then they split up. One went north, one went south, and eventually I think they got together again. So he was on his way to Key West, and he was telling us how many tires he changed, and it was just a crazy, amazing trip. Somebody in their 20s, it's perfect. And well, do you have any complaints, anything that you didn't like? This is just that my wrists are hurting all the time. Oh, no biggie, come here. And so I had him stand there in front of me. I do my treatments. I always start standing up so I can go around your energy field and check where the imbalances are. Your energy is in full function standing up. When you lie down, it can go down to 20% of it. So this is the real thing. So I went around him, and of course by then I've been moving people without touching them my whole life. I can do it from all kinds of distances. I've done demonstration where I moved 100 people at the same time. So pretty crazy stuff. But at that time I was 26. I just wanted to fix everything all at once. I didn't know about restraint. So I wanted to show off. I wanted to show off. So picture this, my elderly uncle sitting on his recliner, kind of looking at us. This guy is facing him, and I'm behind this guy. His name was Moraz Ferenc. I still remember. Anyway, I figured I'll show off. The first 10 seconds, I'm gonna give him a push, or a pull or some, just to feel the impact of the energy. Well, that impact resulted in his eyes just going up, and he went straight down, like a plank, just like that. And I'm like, oh, what the heck?
So you blasted him.
Oh my God. I mean, it happened a few times in my life, but I learned to restrain myself since. But he went down, and I knew some, pressure points to wake him up.
Revive him.
And well, first, my uncle's comment, the guy goes down. I'm like, whoa. And he was just sitting there. Absolutely didn't move a finger, nothing. He was just sitting there. So where do you think we're gonna bury him? That was his question. Like, you're not serious, are you? Anyway, we revived him, put him on a sofa. He fell asleep at about 7 o'clock in the evening, and he slept till 8:30 the next morning. He got up full of energy, like nothing happened. Hey, that was great. I don't know what you did to me, but and it was nothing like the plan would have made the treatment, of course. But it worked. And then 2 months later, he sent us a card from Virginia, just saying that my wrists are still good. But technically, I didn't really work on him. That was the 10 seconds of energy blast that he needed.
Wow. So he probably needed that sleep.
Yes, probably
to integrate the
overexhausted.
energy, or when you're traveling, you're tired anyway, probably. So that's interesting. So have you ever found, does it matter that people are open to what you're doing to make it effective?
Well, it helps. So, as I said, I really don't heal you. I just fix your energy field, which gives your body back its natural environment where it can heal itself. So it's kind of like a message, kick in the butt, really. However, I noticed that it works for everybody. There's no psychological influence. And I work on horses, I work on dogs, cats, babies. They don't have any thinking, or I don't have to suggest anything to them. However, I do get a lot of clients who don't know that I work on them. Their wives ask me like, hey, my husband doesn't believe in this, but can you work on him? It works the same way. It minus the help that you would psychologically add to it.
Now, do you somehow get their permission before you work on them, like on the soul level or?
The wife's permission.
Oh, that's
Usually,
enough.
well, the thing is, here's my logic. If somebody came to me to help them, why do I need to ask their permission again? They come and ask for me to do it, then that's already the
Well,
permission.
I mean, say there was a wife that came to you, said, please work on my husband, but he doesn't know about it because he's not
Right,
open to it.
right. It's still fine. I'll go and work on him. I don't worry about permissions or anything like it. It's
I
already
find on the soul level that they're open to it 99% of the time anyway.
mhm. We're all energetic beings, This is
Yeah,
just a suit. So it doesn't do anything. Um, Everything happens energetically. That's the bottom line. I
yeah.
mean, you can eat that Big Mac, eventually it will turn into energy. There's kinetic, there's the thermal energy, but there's also this energy.
Oh, well, I don't know where you've been hiding because I've never heard of you before, but now I'm going to read your book and see because I'm an energy healer, but I'm always trying to improve. I'm always trying to learn new things. That's just how I am. You sound like
I
me.
see your future turning into a bioenergy healer.
Well, if it works and it's up leveling what I've learned so far, I say yes. You know what I mean?
It's definitely a step up.
Yeah.
Both vehicles will take you there. Just one is a Yugo, the other one is a Ferrari.
Oh, I'd
What's the
rather have the
difference?
Ferrari every time.
Right?
Time's clicking away, let's get to it. And, have you ever found that you kind of helped somebody's energy field, but it ends up going offline or off alignment again? Or are you finding
It
that
it
they're keeping
it can
it?
happen, first of all, that I can overdo it sometimes, which would feel like a double espresso nowadays.
Yeah.
So nobody's falling down the last 25 years, I believe. Um, but I think hmm, it depends where the imbalances came from. If you broke an arm, it's an obvious thing. There's an imbalance, and we can speed up the recovery, but it's not going to happen, overnight. It
Right.
it has to take some certain natural ways. It's the delivery of those materials that put together uh, this is what takes time. However, sometimes maybe 1 in 20, there can be like a healing crisis happening. So maybe a little bit worse than better.
Hmm.
But those people usually feel better in an accelerated speed. So much better. I've found, everybody's so different. It's
Yeah.
impossible to predict. I worked on somebody once. This lady had migraine headaches for 60 years. One session, never got a headache again. Another person, I would have to work, maybe monthly to keep the energy on the level, because for some reason it goes down. So it's really up to you to find out where you're losing your energy. So reading the book and getting the education will enable you to do that.
Hmm.
It's from everywhere. Just as we talked there, just a little stress. Somebody cuts you off and you start pulling your hair and yelling and everything, and you ruined your day with that one something. Now you can make an agreement with yourself. Hey, every time somebody cuts me off, I'm going to give them 5 minutes or 5 seconds of cursing, and I move on, because there was really nothing personal. It wasn't against you. They're just bad drivers, maybe, or so. So there's a way of how to change your thinking into becoming and staying positive. That's the
That
only
is,
way to stay
yeah.
yourself, stay healthy.
I have been able to do this. So,
Hmm.
I'm a very sensitive person. So in the past, people will upset me by what they did or said, or, someone cut me off and your heart rate goes up.
Hmm.
But I've noticed that I don't react the way I used to anymore.
Good.
In fact, I was on a trip in July and we stopped at a gas station and my friend parked so close to this car, I literally couldn't get in without touching the
Hmm.
car beside me. And there was a guy in the car and he was with a baby
Hmm.
and he started yelling and doing all these hand movements. And then he even opened his door and slammed my car. And I looked at him and all I did was put my seatbelt on and I backed out of that spot and went to the other side. That was my reaction. Like it
Good.
was disturbing, but I didn't get upset. I was just like, this person looks like whatever I do is not going to be reasonable. So I need to just get out away from him. And that's what I
Well,
did.
not everybody's reasonable, and not everything is for everybody, and it's just one of those things.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with you because a lot of this anger is misplaced anger. So this person is angry at someone in his life or some situation in his life. And he's obviously not handling it, not
Mhm.
addressing it with that person or that situation, and he's taking it out on strangers. That's what it is.
Well,
That's
look,
all
it's
it
not
is.
it's not easy being a human,
Yeah. Yeah, especially for
Yeah,
him. If that triggered
right.
that little thing triggered him. Well, why don't you share how people can find you and your website details and
I hope you can write it out somewhere because my
I
name
will. I'll
goes
have it in
all
the
like
notes, but
yes.
the reason why I always ask this at the end of the episode is because oftentimes when I'm listening to things, I listen to the website and I go straight to the website without even
Oh,
looking at
got
the
you.
notes. But that's just the way I am.
Sure.
So I have both. Like I like you to say it, and it's also going to be in the show notes.
Nice. So chongordaniel.com. That's CSONGORDANIEL.com. You'll find everything there. Um, I have a morning routine, daily exercises you can do, just 5 minutes to move the energy, move every muscle and joint. There are links to my school. There are links to Facebook page, long distance bioenergy group healing, where I invite individuals and you can join into this group meditation for free. I work on individuals long distance for a fee. Obviously, I have to make a living too. But every Tuesday and Friday morning at 9 a.m., I do a 15, 20-minute meditation that is just about sending energy. All you have to do is tap in. So technically, you just think of me for a moment and you are on. Um, Lie down, sit down for 15, 20 minutes. And once you tapped in, all you have to think is about your problems and letting them go. It's quite effective. It's really weird. Some people feel the regular heat and tingling of the energy healing session. So that's been going on for about 15 years now. And you didn't know about it, right?
I didn't.
Yes, try it out. It's really awesome.
This is why it's awesome to have a podcast because you get to meet people you don't
Yes,
normally
yes.
meet or talk to for at least an
Mhm.
hour or maybe more. So,
This is
well,
also an homage to my teacher system. Um, he doesn't work on individuals. I mean, yes, he does, but in a group setting, there would be hundreds of people around, and then each individual gets a little bit of work. He does that with his students. Sometimes you would come in with a headache and just sit there, wait for your turn. By the time it's your turn, the headache is gone. So the bigger the group, the bigger the energy that circulates around. The energy that
Mm-hmm.
we pull off as excess energy is not bad energy necessarily. It's just excess energy. And it goes out there and you're sitting there and your body sucks it in. That's the simplest explanation here. But obviously the group setting is much better.
Yeah,
So in long distance healing, I achieved the same thing. Even though you're not sitting in the same room, there is a collective energy around. So
interesting.
it's like an
Yeah,
accelerated energy around you.
yeah. I'm a big believer in that we need to do things in groups.
Yes, I
It's more
mean,
powerful that way.
we're humans, so we need others. And
Yeah, we're not here in a bubble by ourselves. That's what I like to
exactly.
say.
Mhm.
So, if
That
you
was one
meet,
of the things that was really hard to swallow. This whole pandemic and stay home rules, where you could not get together with other fellow humans who feed your energy.
yeah,
It's great to stay home for a while, and some people love it, and it works for some. I mean, I had a blast. I I wrote half a book just during the pandemic. I rebuilt a bathroom, built a motorcycle. I mean, it works for me, but you can't live like that.
yeah.
So
After a while, you need that
you need the
interaction with people.
companionship, and
Yeah,
you need that energy to share. You can't hold on to anything too long. Any
yeah,
anger, you may have, where does it go? Yeah, what do they call you? They say swallow your anger, right? You swallowed your anger, you have stomach issues, ulcers, and whatnot.
yeah.
So everything that goes on here will affect everything else in you and around you. Now, I've had three simple rules since I've known about the energy, and since I kind of slowly developed, well, seeing what's going on when you're positive and negative. So simple philosophy, three parts. Number one, everything happens for a reason. It can be a logical reason, or you can call it a divine reason, but there's a reason for everything. Number two, there is something positive in everything that happens. You look at the yin and yang symbol, one can't live without the other. If one overtakes, that's the end. So there's always, no matter how negative a situation is, there's something positive in it.
Hmm.
You concentrate on it, you find it, you learn something from that negative, right away becomes positive. So I look at everything already from the positive point of view. Once in a while, somebody will step on your foot if you keep being so positive, but it's still better to stay positive all the time. It's better for you and better for your entire environment. And so number three is, don't piss against the wind. Go with the flow. It's kind of like a
I
Tai Chi
like that
rule,
one.
If a truck is coming at you, you don't try to stop it, just step out of the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And going with the flow it's challenging for those people who want to control, who have this
Mhm.
illusion of controlling the outcome. Like I always say, but plan that your plans are going to change too, and that you're going to have to shift and change according
Right.
to what happens.
There's a Hungarian saying, humans plan, God executes. So
Yeah.
you can make your plans, but something will happen. However, I decided I'm always going to be, looking at the positive, and so far it helped.
Yeah.
Just staring at the negative has no real
Benefit.
positive value.
Yeah, there's no
It's
benefit to that. It's just a choice. And then it can become a bad habit that you're always in this negative headspace. You're always thinking of the worst. What
right.
that's not serving you to do those things,
Hmm.
right?
And we are addictive by nature. We humans, we like addictions. You know, we like to get up at the same time, have that cup of coffee or breakfast or whatever. It all becomes a habit. And so does your thinking. And so when you get into a little bit of a comfort zone, you become lazy. And you know, everything has its consequence. You cannot stop. You don't work out for 2 weeks, it's like starting all over again. You know, everything has to be on a level: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. It all has to be constantly stirred a little bit because it gets lazy or it gets blockages.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the whole point of us being here, is to be doing this,
To learn something,
because
yeah.
where we come from, everything's great. We're in like the
Right.
light. And then guess what? We got bored and then we came here. So
Yes, that's exactly what it feels like. And it's like a vacation from the other side, a learning vacation.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, if you don't like the school, you can check out, but you may have to go again and, you know, repeat your class.
I don't want
So,
to go again. I want to accomplish everything on my list. It's very, very long, but I'm doing my best to knock it out.
um, otherwise, do we have a minute? I will show your audience how to feel this energy, just to give you a visual, because we talked about this energy this whole time. It makes a little plus if they learn to feel it.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
quick one. Okay, put your
Mhm.
arms out straight and relax your fingers. Now straighten up your fingers so they're in the same line with your forearm. Okay, so this is relaxed. This is a little bit tense. Feel this tension in your fingers. Now with this tension, hold an imaginary basketball. Make sure your elbows are free and relaxed, about a basketball sized ball. Once you think you have it, give it a squeeze. Press your palms closer by an inch and then let them back. And again, closer by an inch and let them back. And you can even speed it up. What do you feel?
It feels solid to me, but I've been doing this a long time.
So it's kind of like you have a ball, right? And if you move your hands, there will be this magnetic feeling when you try to push two magnets together and they wouldn't go, right?
Mhm.
So you can play, there will be different layers of this. Some places you will feel it more, some places you feel it less, but you will establish a distance where you feel it the most. And that's what I build my teaching on, telling you what's your next step. Now, while we're here, might as well get closer and closer and closer. Now make your hands flat, fingers straight, and stop about an inch distance. You will also feel some tingling, some heat, some pressure there. But if you move your fingers just a little bit, just this much, you'll feel as if your knuckles needed lubrication, right? There's a little, like a squeakiness to your knuckles. Still the heat, and now slowly start circling like this. Aside from that warmth, can you feel the center of that rotation?
Yeah.
Again, you can do an experiment with two tiny little magnets. When you can't push them together, what happens? They push out to the side a little bit, but they follow the exact magnetic circle here. And it can be bigger too, and you can still feel it at certain distance. It all just takes some practice. Make it really big now and squeeze it in. Squeeze it. You may feel it even more now. Now hold it there for a second and you pull your hands apart. Can you feel the resistance to that motion? Yes,
Yes.
because there's magnets on the outside too, not just on the inside. So each direction, you can feel this magnetic, almost like pulling or pushing, or like preventing you from doing this movement. That's really the first exercise to feel the energy. Once you establish how this ball feels, it should feel like that throughout your whole body. And then you'll find the areas like, oh, this one doesn't feel like it. This is too cold or too hot or too something. And
Hmm.
that's where you find those areas. That's when you work one-on-one live. When it's long distance, it's always deep meditation. I visualize the individual. They're not with me online, obviously. It's deep meditation, but then I write them a report afterwards, and then we go from there. It's a little adjustments each week, and everybody's happy.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and I look forward to learning about more what you offer, and should definitely check him out. Anybody out there that's listening, find an energy healer, either locally or someone who works long distance, so you're not stuck with these issues.
Absolutely. It's not worth carrying on anything. I mean, think about it. If you're in your 30s or 40s and you have some pain or some issues, you're not even halfway through your life. Now, do you want to carry that your entire life? You know, things just get worse if you don't do anything about them.
Right.
I believe everybody should be pain-free for the rest of their lives, but you know, it's up to us to do the right thing.
Yep, the answers are out there. There are people out there. There are practitioners out there. If the medical model's not working for you and it's not working for a lot of people, find those energy healers, the acupuncturists, the herbalists. They're out there. They're everywhere in every community,
Right.
right?
You're
Or
right.
online.
Or call me. Yes, find me online.
Right.
That's all.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.